What's going on, guys? Quinn69 here. Just gonna bring you guys a quick guide on the Serenity Cold Monk, as this is the one that I'm betting on this season. This is what I think is gonna be the strongest spec to play at the end game. This is an end game only build. It requires you to have extremely specific gear and requires a lot of fishing. So don't try and play this build if you just want to chill out and casually have some fun. I would highly suggest the torch or the furnace build for that. But yeah, if you're a hardcore gamer and you've got like the will of a soldier or something, I don't know, and you want to try and collect all the gear required to actually play this build here, then go ahead. This is the Serenity Monk. And the reason we call it the Serenity Monk is because look at my Serenity cooldown. As you can see there, it's got 350 milliseconds of overlap, which means you are pretty much immortal. Immortal. Let me just say immortal. I've chosen this clip as I know I do die a few times. Eventually, I'm gonna go ahead and die just to show you guys, because a lot of people, I don't know, seem to get the wrong message when I say this is the immortal monk. It's not truly immortal, as any type of lag, computer lag, server lag, anything happens like that, you're dead. You're gonna die. It happens. It happens. Pretty much. You can expect like 0 to 5 deaths per rift. If you're dying more than that, then you're doing something wrong. You shouldn't be dying that often. Like as you can see here, you're not going to die all the time constantly. And if you play it correctly, you can minimize your deaths. If you avoid standing in the base of arcane laser beams, if you avoid standing in molten, if you avoid standing in fire chains, if you avoid standing on certain things that are going to kill you. It's kind of like a dot on the ground or really consistent damage. You can increase your survivability dramatically. And yeah, pretty much all the build is. You're just gonna put exploding palm on things, and then you kick it in the face, and it blows up. And then it's a seasonal build because we're using Gundo gears. And you can see here, I think I'm gonna die here. There we go. See, not immortal, boys. Not immortal. You're almost immortal. Almost immortal, but not quite unkillable. Not quite unkillable. This is a greater of 51, just to show you how real the build is. I've spreadsheeted how long it would take to kill Sextress. Sextress takes about 6 minutes. Stone Slinger takes about 7 minutes. So if you can clear the rift with half the time, I cleared this rift in sub 5 minutes. So this build is definitely capable of pushing rank 1. You could push a 52 or a 53 with this build currently, with my gear currently, and with the absolute perfect gear, probably a 54, I would say. Not too sure about 55 though. Probably 54 is going to be the cap of this build. If Torch can beat that out, then damn, that's pretty amazing. Good on them. Hopefully you've enjoyed the gameplay. I'm going to get straight into the. I don't want to mess around too much. And remember, guys, in 2.2, Serenity Monk is getting hotfixed because they're bringing in a bunch of new cooldown reduction items, which makes CDR a lot easier to obtain. So this will no longer work on 2.2, and I will remove the guide. So you've got about 3 months, around 3 months to use this build. This is the build I'm going to be pushing till the very end of the season with. So yeah, hopefully you guys who want to can do it as well. The gear you're going to need a Born's weapon. Okay, it needs 10% cooldown reduction on it. Check. You're going to need a Fist of As. It needs 10% cooldown reduction on it. Obviously, you're looking for resource cost reduction and cooldown reduction rolls, kind of like this. This is what you want your Fist of As to look like, as well as your Born Sword. Those are the dream rolls on your weapons. You're going to use Captain Crimson's 2 set. That's boots and pants. That's for the 10% cooldown reduction. Then on top of that, you're going to want the Vigilante belt. That's got 8% cooldown reduction on it. We're using the Born's chest along with the Born's weapons, obviously, and that is giving you another 10% cooldown reduction from the set bonus. Don't know if you guys are starting to see a trend here. We're using the Leoric's crown here. It can roll up to 100% increase effectiveness of the gem, so you can get an extra 12.5 cooldown reduction in it with the gem. OP. My shoulders also have 8% cooldown reduction on it, and I've also these are the perfectly rolled shoulders. I've also got resource cost reduction and 20 area damage. You can see that I'm not kind of gearing defensively. If you look at my toughness, I have 8 million toughness. I was just doing 52s, and I wouldn't die that often due to the fact that you have Serenity up almost all the time, and you can live quite effectively with no defense whatsoever. I'm using gloves, some Wuku gloves. 8% cooldown reduction on that bad boy. And I'm using some Wuku shrines with 8% cooldown reduction. The key to this build is also Gundo gears here, so it's a seasonal build. Unfortunately, you can't get cooldown reduction on those. It'd be the dream. If Gunner Gears rolled CDR, that'd be the dream. But yeah, you're just looking for 20 cold, 6 crit, and yeah, Gunner Gears are the reason that everything is chain exploding. That is why when you put one exploding palm up and you pop that EP, it spreads to Africa and everything blows up, like you were watching in the video just a second ago. Okay, now for rings, I'm using a Stoner Jordan. This is the Dream Ring. Mine is not perfectly rolled by any means, but yeah, cold damage, elite damage, 8 cooldown reduction, and a socket. That's the Dream rolls. If you can't get this, you can also use a Mandel heal. Okay, you can use a Mandel heal or like any other ring which has cooldown reduction, preferably one with extra stats. You could even just drop Taeguk. You could drop one of the legendary gems and just use a Soj, which didn't have, like you could just roll a Soj to 8 CDR with no socket. That's also an option. It's all spreadsheets out all quite, in a similar fashion. Now the other ring we're using is a Ring of Royal Grandeur. Obviously these are the best rolls right here. I would preferably have this as ancient, but unfortunately I have not been able to farm one obviously yet. But yeah, 8 CDR, 7 attack speed, dexterity. It's the only rolls you can get, as Ring of Royals always roll with attack speed and life on hit. So you only get one stat of your choice with a Ring of Royal. And yeah, the gems we're using is we're using Bane of the Trapped. This is pretty much the best gem here. Multiplies your damage by 32.4% damage, depending on the level of the gem. It's a multiplier, really strong. We're using Taeguk. This just gives you additive damage. It stacks up every time you cast Lashing Tail Kick, and it gives you, additive damage. Your damage goes up, which is all good. More damage. You kill stuff better. Nice. And then we're using a Goguk of Swiftness. This just gives you more cooldown reduction. And I don't know if we got that point across yet. You need absolute max CDR. And Perfect Gear, you have 78.52% CDR, I believe. I'm slightly off because of my crown. It's not quite 100%. So I'm 78.37. But this is enough. Anything over 78, everything over 78 will kind of have you set. Everything over 78 will have you set, and you'll be good to go with that. Getting to skills now, boys. Getting to skills. Smash this guy out. The Exploding Palm we use is Impending Doom, simply because you get the most damage scaling out of this. That's the entire reason we are cold. You wouldn't be cold, if we wouldn't have, cold is a horrible spec to work with, but the Exploding Palm's just too strong, so you have to go cold, boys. You have to go cold. We're using Lashing Tail Kick, Hand of Yita. That's what we pop EP with. So we put EP up, and we pop it with LTK. Cool. It's a bit of an awkward skill. The attack animation is a little bit slow, as you can see here. Got a little bit of a slow attack animation. But it gets the job done, and it does have some, kind of benefits. Being a ranged ability allows you to kind of, you can play defensively. When your Goguk stacks are not at 15, you're in the danger zone, as you can really easily die, and this helps you kind of get the stacks up, without being dead. We use Serenity Ascension. This is the only rune you can use, as that increases duration, and it's what makes the build possible. If this rune wasn't in the game, we couldn't do it. So yeah, Serenity Ascension. Blinding Flash, Faith in the Light, 29% damage. We have, as you can see here, we have pretty much 100% uptime. With the Goguk stacks, you have 100% uptime of this. So it just gives you 29% damage, and it also procs Relentless Assault. We'll go to that later though. We're using Dashing Strike Radiance. This is the rune that gives us 15% attack speed. The Lashing Tail Kick does have a bit of a slow attack animation, and this kind of speeds that up. And that's what we like about Dashing Strike Radiance. We don't need any defense. You can go for Blinding Speed if you think you're going to die. It does increase your survivability a little bit. It means when that during those small kind of downtimes, you have a chance. You have a chance to live. So yeah, you can go down that route if you think that's a thing you want to do. And then Epiphany Insight. You gain 45 spirit regen per second. This is the kind of the workhorse of the build. This is how it all, because you don't need any defense, you can run this cool rune, which gives you crazy spirit regen, which in turn gives you really good sustained damage. We're using Determination, so 20% additive damage when you've got a lot of density. Each enemy within 12 yards gives you 4% damage, stacks up to 20%. 20% damage, that's all good. Relentless Assault, whenever enemies are blinded, i.e. all the time, because you're spamming this every 3 seconds. That's really good. It's really good. 20% consistent damage. Doesn't have 100% uptime on like yellow and blue packs and the Rift Guardian, but it's constantly up on anything in range of you, and it does increase your exploding palm damage, which is nice. Momentum, 20% additive damage for 6 seconds whenever you run around. This is up most of the time, and you can force it to be up on the Rift Guardian as well. So whenever you're fighting the Rift Guardian, you just deliberately dash all the time just to keep that momentum up, just for extra damage. And then Beacon of Yita. We use this just for the extra cooldown reduction. It would not be possible if it weren't for this rune. This thing is OP. I love this. Beacon of Yita, OP, guys. Quickly going over Paragon points. I just hit Paragon 800. Yeah, so I actually have every single Paragon point. But the only thing that matters for this build is cooldown reduction. If you have 10 cooldown reduction, you're winning the game. You're winning the game. Then you just want to go into the crits. You just want to go into the crits, and then you want to, from there, you want to just go to attack speed. Defense is irrelevant. I would say cap out your aura resist first, then go life, then armor. Life regen is pretty irrelevant, as you're not going to take damage like ever. You just want to increase that pool size, so then if you do get hit, you have a high chance of survival. But we drop so much defense that you're probably going to die anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Pretty irrelevant. And then for this, area damage, resource cost reduction. These are the two you want first. Then life on hit, gold find, cool. And then obviously here you want to cap your movement speed. So depending on what your movement speed is on your gear, the maximum movement speed you can get from Paragon / gear is 25%. So balance that number out. If you've got 10 on your boots, then you want 15 here to make 25 sort of thing. And then the rest just goes into dexterity because we just want more damage. More damage, guys. That's how we do it. But otherwise, guys, that is pretty much the gear and the skills. I just want to quickly give you a quick example of what it kind of looks like in a Rift. It's not going to be really accurate. This is not a T6 farming spec. You don't want to farm T6 with this. You can easily modify the build a little bit to go into T6, but for T6, I'm just going to use this as a quick example of how to use the build. So pretty much you're going to dash past anything that's not density, and you're going to start maintaining, because what you're going to want is you're going to want your 15 Gorok stacks. So you're not safe until you got 15 Gorok stacks. Okay, I've got my 15 stacks now. Now I want to go around and I want to look for density. Once I find density, all I want to do here is put EP on the weakest mob and then blow it up. I see people playing this build and they don't, they just sit there like kicking like some really high health mob. You don't want to sit here kicking elites. That's going to take you ages. You're going to want to go find the weakest possible mob, find the weakest possible. I'm just doing too much damage for T6, so it's kind of awkward. You want to find the weakest possible mob, and then kind of blow that up, and that'll chain across, and it'll kill everything. But my Gunno gears aren't really working because I'm one-shotting everything, and Gunno gears don't spread if you one-shot. So yeah, hopefully this is probably a horrible demonstration of how to play the build, but I just want to kind of get it through to you guys. You need to maintain those Gorok stacks instantly, and you're gonna want to focus down the weak mobs first. You don't want to just start kicking rare packs in the face. You don't want to start kicking rare packs in the face. You want to find, focus target little tiny weak mobs and then explode those guys and use your Gunno gears to blow up the entire rift kind of thing. And yeah, this build does require a lot of RNG. If you want to push the leaderboards, you're going to need to get the correct rift boss. So don't just go into the first rift and think it's crap. It requires you pretty much to have a boss which spawns ads, i.e. the best boss being Saxtress. Or Stone Slinger, because it has half the health of all the other Rift Guardians, so you kill it twice as fast. But otherwise, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the guide. Hopefully I covered every point. This is this really specialized build. So yeah, good luck, guys. That's all I've got to say. Good luck, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.